Chosen 1. A stranger has discovered a betrayal planned against you and is stepping forward to tell you everything. Someone you have never met is about to knock on your door, carrying truth that shifts your entire timeline. Their arrival isn't a coincidence, it's intervention. Listen closely. What they reveal dismantles the trap completely. The person orchestrating this against you wears spirituality like a costume. Wisdom flows from their mouth, compassion appears in their performance. They play the victim role so convincingly that people rush to provide rescue, but you've felt the truth underneath, haven't you? That coldness hiding behind warm words, that manipulation disguised as guidance, that energy that makes your intuition scream even when your mind tries to rationalize it away. This orchestrator sees you as competition. They can't win against fairly, so fair play stopped being the goal. Every opportunity that comes to you feels like theft to them. Every time you grow, they feel diminished. Every moment you stand in your power exposes the emptiness inside, and they can't handle it anymore, so they chose destruction over elevation. Tearing you down became preferable to building themselves up, and they've been planning this for longer than you realize. The stranger knows exactly who this orchestrator is. They've been close enough to see behind all the masks, the wounded soul who always needs support, the spiritual teacher dispensing wisdom, the ambitious player making power moves, different faces for different audiences. But underneath every performance lives the same core, someone consumed by envy, someone who decided that if they can't be you, eliminating you becomes necessary. This feels like family, not necessarily blood, but close enough to have access to your world, close enough to know your vulnerabilities, close enough to have watched you over time, while resentment grew like poison. They know things about you because they've been studying you, your patterns, your routines, your relationships. Like someone casing a house before robbery, they've noted every detail. When you're vulnerable, who you trust, what you value most, all of it catalogued, all of it weaponized. The stranger saw this obsession firsthand. They watched your orchestrator collect information about you like evidence. They heard conversations where you were discussed, not as a person, but as a problem requiring a solution. And the solution being planned is what's bringing this stranger to your door. Everything traces back to money. That's the root feeding this whole poisonous tree. Your orchestrator believes something financial belongs to them, inheritance they think they deserve, assets they feel owed, opportunities they're convinced you're blocking them from accessing. In their twisted logic, removing you from the picture solves all their financial problems. The stranger started suspecting this went beyond business when they saw how obsessed your orchestrator was with your abundance, not just wanting what you have, but needing you to lose it. Something pathological drives this fixation, something that transcends greed and enters spite. And then the stranger discovered something that changed everything. Documents in a safe, paperwork that was supposed to be protected, contracts that should have secured your interests. But changes had been made, terms had been altered, clauses had been modified. What was supposed to protect you had been twisted into a weapon against you. The stranger wasn't supposed to see those original documents. They weren't supposed to compare them with the modified versions, but they did. And when they realized what they were looking at, when the level of fraud being orchestrated became clear, something inside them broke, because this wasn't creative business maneuvering. This was calculated evil. This was someone willing to destroy an innocent person for money, and the stranger had been recruited to help make it happen. Here's what their role was supposed to be. Approach you with an opportunity, a business deal that looks incredible on the surface, something with legitimate credentials, impressive returns, solid backing. Make it look so attractive that refusing would seem foolish. Create urgency so you sign quickly without deep investigation into details. But what they weren't told initially, what they only discovered later, was what happens after your signature appears. The clauses that create traps, the liabilities that shift to you, the control that transfers away from you, the cage that locks the moment ink touches paper. This wasn't opportunity. This was a trap designed to look like blessing, and the stranger was supposed to be the bait. Your orchestrator didn't work alone. They couldn't. A scheme this complex requires accomplices, so they built a network. Some people know exactly what they're participating in. Others have been manipulated into helping without understanding the full picture. All of them are moving pieces into position for your destruction. Someone with authority has been weaponized against you. Someone who carries power and influence. Someone whose word means something in legal and business circles. Your orchestrator has spent considerable effort feeding this person a carefully crafted narrative about you. Selective facts, strategic lies, manufactured evidence, all designed to make you look guilty of something you didn't do. And they succeeded. This authority figure believes the lies. Taking action against you feels like justice to them. They think they're doing the right thing. They have no idea they're being used as a weapon by someone with purely selfish motives. The stranger has witnessed this manipulation happening. They watched your orchestrator perform innocence and concern while painting you as the villain. They heard the conversations where truth got twisted just enough to sound credible, and they saw this powerful person buy into it completely. If you felt called by this message, hype this video so other chosen ones like you can be reached. That's when the stranger realized how far-reaching this plot actually is. This isn't just about tricking you into signing bad paperwork. This is about having authority figures ready to back up legal consequences when the trap springs. This is about making sure when you try to fight back, you're already buried under accusations and apparent evidence of wrongdoing. Your orchestrator has been working social circles too, building public opinion against you before you even know an attack is underway, planting seeds of doubt, asking questions that make people suspicious, sharing concerns that sound genuine but are actually calculated manipulation. They might even have connections to someone well-known, someone whose endorsement provides credibility, someone whose platform amplifies their narrative. The stranger isn't sure of all the details yet, but they've picked up enough to know that social influence and public perception are part of the attack strategy. Every piece of this network serves a purpose: to isolate you, to discredit you, to make sure when the main attack comes, you're already surrounded by people who've been primed to believe the worst about you. Now you need to understand why this stranger is coming to you at all, because they're not innocent in this. They participated, they went along with things, and you need to understand that before you place trust in what they're about to tell you, they were recruited into this scheme with promises, money, opportunities, access to circles they wanted to be part of. Your orchestrator excels at finding people's pressure points and applying just enough leverage to get compliance. And the stranger had their own reasons for going along initially. Maybe they had a relationship with someone in your family circle. Maybe they needed money and didn't ask too many questions about where it was coming from or what they'd have to do to earn it. Maybe they were morally flexible enough that other people's problems weren't their concern. Whatever the reason, they started participating. They listened to the plan. They agreed to play their assigned part. They started moving the pieces they were told to move. And for a while, they avoided thinking too hard about what it all meant for you. But something shifted. Maybe it was seeing those altered documents and realizing the level of fraud involved. Maybe it was hearing your orchestrator talk about you with such venom that pretending this was just business became impossible. Maybe it was their moral compass finally breaking through the noise of self-interest. Or maybe their connection to your family through a relationship that ended badly played a role. And in that relationship they saw things, they heard things, they witnessed behavior that should have been a warning, but they turned a blind eye because confronting it would have cost them. Now they're seeing the same pattern playing out against you, and this time they're directly involved. This time their silence and participation makes them complicit. This time they can't pretend not to see. So they're coming to you, not because nobility suddenly emerged, not because they had some grand moral awakening, but because living with being part of what's about to happen to you has become impossible, because the weight of knowing what they know has become heavier than the consequences of telling you. You might not understand their motives, you might question them, their confession of personal involvement might turn you against them before you hear the full truth. But they're coming anyway, because what's about to hit you is worse than you can imagine, and giving you a fighting chance is the only thing that lets them sleep at night. You need to understand how deep this surveillance actually goes, because your orchestrator hasn't just been casually observing you, they've been studying you with the intensity of someone preparing for war. Every conversation you've had in their presence has been catalogued. Every vulnerability you've revealed has been noted. Every pattern in your behavior has been mapped. They know when you're most likely to trust, when your defenses are down, when you're dealing with stress that might cloud your judgment. They've been watching for those moments because those are the moments when you're most vulnerable to manipulation. The stranger witnessed this surveillance firsthand. They saw your orchestrator take notes after interactions with you, mental notes, sometimes actual notes, details about what you said, how you responded, what seemed to affect you emotionally. This wasn't friendly interest, this was reconnaissance. Your online presence has been tracked more closely than you realize. Not just your public posts, but who you interact with, what causes you support, what opinions you express, what your plans seem to be. They've been building a psychological profile of you based on breadcrumbs you didn't know you were leaving. And they've been using that information to refine their approach, to figure out exactly how to present the trap so you'd be most likely to fall for it, to determine which emotional buttons to push, to identify which trusted people in your life might be used to endorse their scheme and make you more likely to trust it. The stranger saw some of this monitoring happen in real time, your orchestrator scrolling through your profiles, showing your posts to others, and making comments about you, using your own words and images to build their case against you or to fine-tune their manipulation strategy. Your orchestrator has been trying to access information they shouldn't have, financial records, if they could get them, private communications if possible, documents that should be confidential. They've been looking for ammunition, anything that could be used against you or twisted to support their false narrative. The stranger doesn't know how successful these attempts were, but they know the attempts were made. They know your orchestrator has been trying to dig up anything that could be weaponized, and they know some information was obtained through channels that weren't exactly legal. Your orchestrator has also been monitoring your emotional state, watching for signs of weakness, waiting for moments when you might be more susceptible to their approach. Are you stressed about finances? Perfect time to offer a financial opportunity. Are you dealing with family conflict? Great moment to position themselves as supportive and understanding while gathering information about the conflict. The stranger saw this emotional opportunism play out. Your orchestrator is asking concerned questions, offering sympathetic ears, all while mentally cataloging your vulnerabilities for future exploitation. It was never genuine care. It was always strategic information gathering. Your orchestrator isn't just working on material levels. There's a spiritual component to this attack that you need to recognize and defend against. They've been sending negative energy your way, whether through focused intention or actual practices designed to harm. Spiritual interference has been aimed at weakening you, making you confused, making you doubt yourself, making you more vulnerable to manipulation. You felt this even if you didn't know what you were feeling, that heaviness that seems to come from nowhere, that brain fog that makes clear thinking difficult, that exhaustion that isn't explained by physical activity, that anxiety that has no obvious source. These aren't random. These are symptoms of spiritual attack. Your orchestrator understands energy. They know how to use it, and they've been using it against you, not for your healing or growth, or highest good, but for your weakening and confusion. They want you disconnected from your intuition. They want you separated from your spiritual guidance. They want you operating purely from ego and fear, instead of from higher consciousness. The stranger started suspecting this spiritual dimension when they noticed how drained they felt after spending time with your orchestrator, how their own thinking became clouded, how they started doubting things they knew to be true. That's what happens when you're in close proximity to someone actively working with darker energy, and your orchestrator has been trying to attach spiritual interference directly to you, sending thoughts that aren't yours but feel like yours, planting doubts that seem to come from within but actually originate externally, creating emotional reactions that don't match your actual feelings but seem convincing in the moment. The stranger also noticed something else. Your orchestrator seems bothered by your light, actually physically uncomfortable when you're operating in your full power. They avoid you when you're in high vibration states. They seem to prefer interacting with you when you're stressed or tired, or dealing with challenges, because your strength highlights their emptiness. That discomfort they feel around your authentic power is why they want to dim it permanently. They can't handle the mirror you represent. They can't face what your existence reveals about their choices, so they're trying to extinguish your light rather than ignite their own. Your light isn't dependent on external circumstances. It's not something that can be taken by fraud or force. It's not something that dims just because someone wishes it would. Your light is connected to source energy. It's fed by divine purpose, and no human scheme can sever that connection. The spiritual attacks against you have been failing. That's why your orchestrator had to escalate to physical, legal, and financial warfare, because the spiritual attacks weren't working. Your protection is too strong. Your connection is too deep. Your purpose is too important for the universe to allow you to be taken out by darker energy. But you need to strengthen your defenses consciously now, because knowing you're under spiritual attack changes how you respond to it. You can pray specifically for protection. You can cleanse your energy deliberately. You can call in your spiritual team explicitly. You can build shields consciously instead of relying only on passive protection. Starseeds, they never expected this. The technology used to suppress consciousness has been reverse-engineered, and Destiny Engine is the result. What was once used against humanity is now your ascension weapon. You can now MK Ultra yourself into 5D superpowers. Destiny Engine bypasses the conscious mind and rewrites the source code directly. Reality bends faster. Synchronicities stack. Your nervous system upgrades to a higher bandwidth. Put on headphones. Press play. That's all. For $1 you switch sides of history. Click the link in the description. The takeover is internal. Now that you know what's coming, you need to understand the patterns of manipulation so you can spot them in real time. Your orchestrator has been using specific tactics, and once you recognize them, they lose their power. First, artificial scarcity. Whenever they present something to you, there's always a reason you need to decide immediately. Limited time, limited availability, someone else interested in the same opportunity. This urgency is manufactured to prevent you from thinking clearly or consulting people you trust. Second, the isolation tactic. They've been subtly working to separate you from people who might question their motives, planting small seeds of doubt about your trusted advisors, suggesting that certain people don't have your best interests at heart, creating situations where you might pull away from your real support system. Third, the flattery trap. When they want something from you, they pour on the compliments. They tell you how smart you are, how successful, how deserving of this amazing opportunity. They're buttering you up so your guard drops and you're more susceptible to their pitch. Fourth, the savior complex. They position themselves as doing you a favor, as going out of their way to bring you this opportunity, as taking personal risk to help you succeed. This creates a sense of obligation, a feeling that you owe them something, that refusing would be ungrateful. Fifth, the complexity smokescreen. The opportunities they bring are intentionally complicated. Lots of moving parts, technical language, complex structures. This complexity serves a purpose. It makes you less likely to understand fully what you're agreeing to. It creates opportunities to hide problematic clauses in the noise. The stranger has seen all these tactics deployed, sometimes individually, sometimes in combination, always with the same goal of getting you to agree to something that benefits your orchestrator while harming you. Watch for emotional manipulation too. Your orchestrator knows which emotions to trigger to get desired responses from you. They know how to make you feel excited about possibilities, anxious about missing out, grateful for their attention, guilty for questioning their motives, all calculated to move you toward their desired outcome. They're also skilled at gaslighting. If you express doubts or concerns, they make you feel like you're being paranoid, like you're overthinking, like you're letting fear stop you from seizing opportunity. They reframe your healthy skepticism as personal weakness. That's intentional. They need you doubting yourself instead of doubting them. Another pattern is incremental commitment. They don't ask for everything at once. They start small, a minor agreement, a preliminary signature, something that seems insignificant. But each small yes sets up the next larger yes. Each minor commitment makes it harder to say no to the major commitment. It's a psychological trap built one step at a time. The stranger watched this incremental approach being planned, your orchestrator mapping out exactly how to walk you from initial contact to final signature. Each conversation designed to move you closer to the trap, each interaction building on the last. Nothing random, everything strategic. You also need to watch for narrative control. Your orchestrator has been shaping how others perceive you, telling stories that cast you in subtle negative lights, asking questions that plant doubt in people's minds about your character or judgment, building a foundation of public opinion that could be weaponized against you later. The stranger heard some of these narrative-shaping conversations, your orchestrator talking to mutual connections, not saying anything overtly negative, just raising questions, expressing concerns, sharing observations that seemed neutral but carried implications, slowly eroding your reputation. Some pieces of this attack are already in motion. Your orchestrator didn't wait until everything was perfect to start moving. They've been launching pieces of their plan while continuing to prepare other pieces, and some of what they've set in motion is happening right now. People have already been approached with information about you. Some of your contacts have received calls or messages asking subtle questions, trying to gather intelligence, trying to plant doubt, trying to assess who might be useful to the scheme and who might interfere with it. If you've noticed people acting differently toward you lately, this might be why. They've been exposed to your orchestrator's narrative. They've heard concerns framed in ways that seem legitimate. And even if they haven't fully bought into it, the seed of doubt has been planted. That doubt is part of the strategy. The stranger knows about some of these contacts, but not all of them. Your orchestrator has been methodical about spreading their narrative across your network, testing to see who responds favorably, identifying potential allies for their cause, mapping out who might stand with you versus who might be swayed against you. Paperwork has also already been filed somewhere, legal documents that start processes your orchestrator wants in motion, things that take time to wind through bureaucratic systems. They've been planting these seeds so that when they're ready for the main attack, supporting elements are already in place. The stranger doesn't have all the details about what's been filed or where, but they know your orchestrator has been visiting lawyers. They know consultations have happened. They know preliminary actions have been taken. The machinery of legal attack has already started moving, even if you haven't been served with anything yet. Your orchestrator has also been liquidating or moving assets. The stranger noticed financial maneuvers happening, money being shifted, accounts being changed, holdings being restructured. This could be about hiding resources from scrutiny. It could be about positioning assets where you can't touch them. It could be about preparing for legal costs. Whatever the reason, it's happening. If you have joint accounts or shared assets with anyone in your orchestrator's circle, you need to verify their status immediately. Make sure nothing's been withdrawn or transferred without your knowledge. Make sure signatures on documents are legitimate. Make sure you still have access to what should be accessible to you. The stranger also knows your orchestrator has been building relationships with specific professionals, lawyers who specialize in the kind of warfare they're planning, financial advisors who know how to structure things for maximum impact, maybe even investigators who've been tasked with digging into your life for ammunition. This should tell you something important. Your orchestrator is serious about this. They're investing real money. They're enlisting expert help. They're not playing around with amateur schemes. This is a professional-level attack, and you need to respond with professional-level defense. Now you know. You see the trap. You understand the players. You recognize the mechanisms, and you're not going to walk blindly into destruction. You're going to move strategically, deliberately, powerfully. First, document everything the stranger tells you. Get it in writing. Record conversations if it's legal in your location. Create a paper trail of evidence that proves you were warned, that you have knowledge of fraud, that you understand what's being done to you. Second, get legal representation that works only for you, not someone connected to your family, not someone who might have divided loyalties. Someone whose only job is protecting your interests. Show them what the stranger revealed. Let them examine the documents and build your defense. Third, don't sign anything. No matter how good it looks, no matter how much pressure gets applied, no matter what opportunities you're told you'll miss, nothing gets your signature until your legal team has examined every clause and confirmed it's actually in your interest. Fourth, start gathering your own evidence, communications with your orchestrator that reveal their true intentions, financial records that show discrepancies, witness statements from people who've seen questionable behavior. Build your own case because you know now that you're likely going to need it. Fifth, prepare for the exposure that's coming, because when you don't fall into their trap, when you don't sign what they need you to sign, when you reveal that you know about their scheme, they're going to escalate, they're going to get desperate, and desperate people make mistakes. You're not a victim in this story. You're the protagonist who just figured out the villain's plan. You're not helpless. You're informed. You're not alone. You have the stranger's testimony and your own spiritual backing. Watch for retaliation attempts. Your orchestrator might go after the stranger for betraying them. They might try to damage your reputation more aggressively since the quiet approach failed. They might escalate to more desperate measures because they're backed into a corner. Cornered predators are dangerous. You might see smear campaigns intensify, accusations become more direct, legal threats more specific, social pressure more intense. This escalation is predictable. It's what happens when someone's elaborate scheme falls apart and they're trying to salvage something from the wreckage. But here's the thing about escalation. It reveals desperation, and desperation makes people sloppy. They make mistakes they wouldn't make if they were operating from a position of strength. They say things that expose their true motives. They take actions that create evidence against themselves. So while escalation might feel intimidating, it's actually working in your favor, because every desperate move they make is another piece of evidence. Every aggressive action is another witness to their true character. Every threat is another demonstration that you were right to refuse their offers. The stranger also warns you about flying monkeys. These are people your orchestrator sends to do their dirty work. Friends or family who've been fed a version of events that makes you look bad and your orchestrator look victimized. These people genuinely believe they're helping by pressuring you or questioning your judgment. Don't waste energy trying to convince flying monkeys of the truth. They're not ready to see it. They're too invested in your orchestrator's narrative. Save your evidence for people who matter, for legal proceedings if necessary, for authorities who need to know, for your actual support system who deserves transparency. Some relationships might not survive this. People who refuse to see the truth. People who choose your orchestrator's side despite evidence. People who value their relationship with your enemy more than they value you. Let them go. This situation is revealing character all around you. Pay attention to who stands with you and who doesn't. Everything done in darkness eventually comes to light. That's a universal law your orchestrator thought they could avoid, but they can't. The exposure has already begun, and the stranger arriving to warn you is just the first domino falling. More revelations are coming. More allies you didn't know you had are going to step forward. More evidence is going to surface. The truth is persistent, and it's coming for everyone involved in this scheme. Your enemy is already feeling the pressure, even if they're not showing it. They're afraid of being exposed. They're worried their whole plan will fall apart, and getting you to sign whatever document they're pushing isn't just about destroying you anymore. It's also about saving themselves from consequences they're already facing. They're in trouble. They're drowning in their own mess. And they think pushing you down will somehow lift them up. It won't. The authority figure who was fed lies about you is going to learn the truth. When the stranger's testimony comes out, when real evidence gets presented, when the manipulation gets exposed, this person in power is going to realize they were used, and that realization is going to flip the entire situation. Someone who was being positioned against you is going to become an ally in exposing the real perpetrator, and your orchestrator knows this is coming. That's why they're getting desperate. That's why they're rushing. They're trying to lock you into their trap before their whole scheme gets revealed. But desperation makes people sloppy. It makes them take bigger risks. It makes them expose themselves. Every desperate move they make from this point forward is actually helping to reveal their true nature to everyone watching. You might also see your orchestrator play victim. Suddenly they're the one being attacked. They're the one being treated unfairly. They're the one who needs support and sympathy. It's a reversal tactic designed to confuse observers and garner support. Don't be surprised when people fall for it. Many will, but the truth has weight. It might take time to be fully recognized, but it's persistent. It doesn't change based on who's telling what story. It just sits there, solid and undeniable, waiting for people to be ready to see it. Your job isn't to convince everyone immediately. Your job is to protect yourself and let truth do its work at its own pace. You've been warned. You've been equipped. You've been prepared. Now watch how everything meant to destroy you becomes the very thing that elevates you. Watch how every lie gets exposed. Watch how every manipulation gets revealed. Watch how divine justice handles those who thought they could attack you with impunity. The stranger discovered the betrayal. They're coming to tell you everything. And because of their courage, you're going to walk through this fire and come out forged into something stronger, wiser, and absolutely unstoppable. Your orchestrator thought they were building your cage, but what they actually built was evidence of their own corruption. They thought they were setting a trap that would destroy you, but what they actually did was trigger a divine intervention that's going to expose them completely. Every document they altered becomes proof of fraud. Every lie they told becomes evidence of their deception. Every person they manipulated becomes a potential witness to their schemes. They've been building the case against themselves this whole time, and you, chosen one, you're not just going to survive this, you're going to thrive because of it. This trial is teaching you discernment that will serve you for the rest of your life. This attack is revealing who your real allies are. This betrayal is showing you the depths of spiritual protection you carry. When this is over, when the dust settles and the truth has been fully revealed, you're going to look back and see how perfectly orchestrated your protection was. You're going to see how every piece fell into place exactly when it needed to. You're going to recognize the divine hand that was guiding everything, ensuring that no weapon formed against you could prosper. Your enemy will face consequences. That's not revenge, that's justice. That's the natural result of their actions catching up with them. You don't have to wish harm on them. You don't have to plot their downfall. The universe handles that. Your job is to protect yourself, stand in your truth, and keep moving forward with your purpose. The stranger is coming. Listen to what they have to say. Take the information seriously, but don't let fear consume you. Don't let this situation steal your peace or derail your purpose. You were chosen for reasons that go far beyond this current challenge. This attack against you is actually confirmation of your significance. If you weren't important, if you weren't a threat to darkness, they wouldn't bother. Every moment of unease you felt was accurate. Every intuitive hit that something was wrong was correct. Every time you sensed danger, you were picking up on truth. Trust yourself. Trust your guidance. Trust the protection that's been surrounding you all along. The warning has been delivered. The truth has been spoken. Now it's time for you to rise, not as a victim of their scheme, but as a warrior who saw the trap and stepped around it. Not as someone they destroyed, but as someone they underestimated. Not as the ending they wrote, but as the beginning of a testimony about what happens when divine protection meets human betrayal. You don't know the stranger, but that phrase that's been echoing through this entire journey, you don't know them, but they knew enough to risk everything to save you. And that act of conscience, that moment of choosing right over wrong, that decision to speak truth despite the cost, that's what breaks the power of darkness. Your orchestrator built their scheme in secret, but secrets don't stay buried forever. The stranger is bringing light to what was hidden, and in that light, the whole elaborate construction crumbles. The game they thought they were playing, you just changed the rules. The trap they thought they set, you just dismantled it. The ending they thought they wrote, you just rewrote it. Because chosen ones don't fall to schemes built in darkness. Chosen ones rise, and you're about to rise higher than you've ever been before. Stand in your power, trust the warning, protect yourself fiercely, and watch how the universe handles those who thought they could touch what was protected. This is not your destruction, this is your elevation. This is not your ending, this is your transformation. This is not their victory, this is your testimony. The stranger is coming, the truth is emerging, the protection is activating, and you, chosen one, you're ready for all of it.